Thank you everybody for 25,000 subscribers. That is absolutely insane. What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Full 90. The Champions League just kicked off last night and we still have another round of fixtures tonight in the Champions League. But last night with the UCL and Championship fixtures, we had our six-fold winners accumulator at odds of 11 to 1 or 12 over on the Patreon, as well as the late kickoff, both teams to score double, including none of these 6 games in case one of those 6 should fail us. If you didn't watch the Champions League video, here are all the winning accumulators and tips that we had since the previous Premier League video. We had the Sunday treble, and then if you didn't like that, I offered an alternative treble. We had an 8-fold winner in the DMs over on Patreon, because I can direct message you on my phone on Patreon, so if you want to chat to me, go join the Patreon. We had the double chance underdog double, the high odds Premier League treble, the light work winners treble, and here on screen are all of the patrons that have joined the Patreon to support the channel and get your exclusive members tips, posts. We had a fun little post last night at halftime when most of the games were 0-0, just having a little chat about that. And then there's another couple of members onto another slide because we've run out of space, because there are so many of you joining the Patreon and supporting the channel. So if you want to get exclusive members tips and accumulators, have direct messaging access to me on my phone or computer, and just want to support the channel in general, then you can head over to patreon.com/thefull90. I'm thinking of something cool that we can do when we reach 100 members over there that I'm sure you will want to get involved with as well. Last week in the Premier League, we were absolutely smashing it. We had 2 correct 2-0 score predictions, Liverpool and Everton, and Tottenham and Fulham, as well as tons of other tips. Newcastle to win -1. We had Forest and Luton both teams to score, Chelsea and Arsenal to get a score draw, Aston Villa to win and both teams to score, Man City to win and both teams to score, Brentford to win. It was just a good week. So with that being said, we've got 10 more fixtures for you today, including, of course, the game of the week, the Manchester Derby, and I have a free tip for every single game for you to sink your teeth into if you are, if that's something you want to do. So kicking off, we have Crystal Palace up against Tottenham. Tottenham, top of the league outright at the moment. Obviously, currently they've been favoured by the, favourable fixtures in the sense they've played all of the lower ranked teams in the league and are yet to play the likes of Man City, Newcastle, that sort of stuff. But either way, this is going to be a game where I think Tottenham can win, but I can see why the odds are the way that they are. I think it's going to be close. However, Palace just came off a beating against Newcastle. Tottenham, no European football to worry about. Tottenham are going to win. Tottenham to win at 1.82. Say less. I'm going to be taking that and running to the bank with that. And after that, it's Chelsea up against Brentford. I predicted Brentford would win last week, and I predicted Chelsea would get a point against Arsenal. So I've got a pretty good feel for these two teams. Chelsea are going to win this game. I said at the beginning of the season, actually, I said that my top 4 would be City first, Liverpool second, Arsenal third, and Chelsea fourth. I'm not writing Chelsea off in terms of the top 4 race. Obviously, you look at the likes of Tottenham, Newcastle, Villa, and it's like, yeah, they really look like they could beat Chelsea out for the top 4. But I think Chelsea are really good. They're winning every game they play on XG. Whether they're getting the points is another matter, but they are making the chances to get points. They're going to win this game. I'm going to go for a 2-0 win to Chelsea, and my tip is Chelsea to win at 1.63 right here. That's good enough for me. You could do a little London win double, Chelsea and Tottenham. Get it out of the way nice and early. I think that would be, jobs are good. And after this, it's Bournemouth up against Burnley. Bournemouth need points. They need points. Burnley need points. As a result, I think they're going to share the points, 1 apiece, 1 goal each. And my tip is both teams to score at 1.66. I think it's likely. I think Bournemouth, these odds make sense to me. I think Bournemouth should be the slight favourites. If you want to look at a goal scorer, I think Solanke again. I did have in my notes Solanke to score last week. Didn't mention it in the video, and then Solanke scored last week. So that's a little bit frustrating. But I do think that Bournemouth can get a point. I think they could win, but I'm going to go for a point here. Arsenal, Sheffield United. I'm going to go for a 3-0 win to Arsenal. This is going to be easy. However, it's really difficult to find any value. Arsenal -1 handicap is 1.4. So I've gone for something that doesn't even rely on a heavy win necessarily. Arsenal could lose and this tip could still come in. Arsenal to score in both halves at 1.57. So that could be 1-0 halftime, 2-0 full time. It could be 1-1 halftime, and then they lose 3-2 full time. Like, they don't have to win, just a goal in each half. I think it'll probably be like 1-0 halftime, 3-0 full time. That's my prediction. But just in case Sheffield United score, I'm not relying on a handicap to get a pretty low odds tip. So I'm going 3-0 Arsenal. I wasn't as confident with Arsenal win to 0 at 1.72, but I don't see this being 0-0 or something at halftime, and I think Arsenal will also score in the second half as well. In fact, Arsenal just did that. They scored in both halves against Sevilla last night in the Champions League, and at home against Sheffield United, they are going to be fine. Sheffield United currently bottom with 1 point, and that point came from Everton, and to be fair, that's a pretty good point, to be honest. But yeah, Arsenal 3-0 comfortable victory. After this, Wolves up against Newcastle. you could go one of two ways with this. The tips that I have to offer are exactly the same value. I'm going to go for a 2-1 win to Newcastle. I think it's going to be close though. Newcastle to win is 1.75 in terms of odds, but my tip is going to be both teams to score, also at 1.75. You could double up and go Newcastle and both teams to score if you wanted, but I think Wolves are coming into a bit of form. I think they will be able to get a goal, but it wouldn't surprise me if Newcastle went on to win 2-3-4-1, something like that. So I'm going to go for a high-scoring win, or well, relatively high-scoring win, I guess, to Newcastle. Obviously, Newcastle haven't yet played Borussia Dortmund in the Champions League yet, so Wolves will be a little bit more rested, but Newcastle, they are levels above Wolves. I think the table reflects that fairly well, even at this early stage of the season. After this, West Ham up against Everton. Pretty tricky one to predict. I think Everton, I feel like they could do something in this game, but I am going to shade it to West Ham. But given that I'm not super confident West Ham get the win, I would look at Jared Bowen to get a goal or an assist. He's just getting involved every single game he plays, it seems. My tip is, again, going to be both teams to score at 1.61, because I think Everton can get a goal. I mean, if we look at their recent results, Liverpool 2-0, there was a red card. It was a bit unfortunate. They beat Bournemouth. They lost to Luton Town where they did score. They beat Brentford 3-1. And, I mean, that's just Arsenal. Arsenal are just the best. So, I think Everton can get a goal. West Ham always have both teams to score, it seems, other than Sheffield United, who are absolutely dross. But other than Sheffield United, both teams have scored in every single West Ham game. I think the same thing's going to happen here. I'm going to go 2-1 to West Ham. After this, it's Aston Villa up against Luton. Aston Villa, 11 games, winning all of them in a row at home. It's going to continue. 3-0 is that surprise hiding number behind there. My tip is Aston Villa, -1 handicap at 1.72. Luton, they've done well to get 5 points, to be honest. Picking up a few recently, but Aston Villa are going to absolutely wipe the floor with them. I know they'll have European football, so there is that. There could be something. Maybe it's like 3-1. Maybe Luton do get a goal, but Aston Villa are going to win this one. I'm going to go for a -1 handicap at 1.72. After this, it's Brighton up against Fulham. I am going to go for a 2-1 win to Brighton. I was going to go for a 3-1 win to Brighton, but again, Brighton have European football to contend with. However, I think they are better enough than Fulham to get the win. Again, the table reflects that. 2-1 to Brighton. My tip is Brighton. And over 1.5 goals at 1.7. It's not much of an increase from this, but Brighton aren't going to win 1-0. When was the last time Brighton ever won 1-0? Look at these fixtures. Mental. There's been over, what is that? Yeah, over 3.5 goals in every game except for the City one, which had over 2.5 goals. So, is there going to be only one goal? No, there's not. Maybe they win 2-0. That's why I've gone for over 1.5 goals as opposed to 2.5 goals. But you can get Brighton and over 2.5 goals at evens as well. If you want to check that out, that could be worth a shout. After this, Liverpool up against Nottingham Forest. I'm going to go crazy. I'm going to go 4-1. No, I'll go 3-1. I originally went 4-0, but I thought, actually, you know what? I think Forest are good for a goal, so I'll go 3-1. My tip is actually going to be Mohamed Salah to score at 1.9. I think that looks, I mean, it's very likely, isn't it? He's on penalties. If there's a goal, it's like 40%. I would say that he's going to score it. If it's not a penalty, and obviously it's a penalty, if it's going to be going, it's going to be going in from him, isn't it? So I think it's likely that he scores. The odds do suggest it is about 50% chance that he will score. I like that. I'm willing to take that bet. So I think if Liverpool score 3, Salah's going to score one of them, isn't he? So I'm going 3-1 to Liverpool against Nottingham Forest. And finally, we have Manchester United up against Manchester City. And I was thinking about going for something crazy, like a 4-2 or something like that. But at the end of the day, Man City don't care about the scoreline as long as they get the win. We had a 2-1 against Brighton. They lost 1-0 to Arsenal. They lost 2-1 to Wolves. But we have 2-0 Forest, 3-1 West Ham. Fulham suck. And then 2-1 Sheffield United. It's not mental. It doesn't have to be. They just need to get the win. So for that reason, I'm going for a 2-1 win to Manchester City. I considered Man City and both teams to score at about 3.5. But my tip is just going to be Man City to win at 1.7 because I think that is more than enough and more like that's all they need to do. So that is going to do it for my week 10 predictions of the Premier League. Once again, thank you so much for 25,000 subscribers. I can't believe we've gone up about 300 subscribers in the last week. You guys are loving it over on the Patreon as well, so you can join that using the link in the description to get a shout out in every single video and all of the exclusive benefits that you get as well for supporting me. But that is going to do it, and I'll see you in the next video very soon.